Welcome to the main event. Let's go. Daya and her mom, Aleida. Well, first of all, if drugs were legal under socialism, what they were doing wouldn't be illegal and they wouldn't be in prison. Pretty simple. It'd be a more legit business also, most likely, and they wouldn't be running it out of their house. So Daya and her sisters wouldn't be exposed to all that shit. And it would also be really tough for them to stay in business because it would be heavily regulated. And if you look at heavily regulated markets, generally you have a few big companies rise to the top. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people on the left you hear complain about, big corporations and they're the problem, whatever. I'm not necessarily against big companies, especially in certain industries where it makes sense to have it kind of, monopolistic. And I think the heroin and cocaine and all those kinds of things, those drugs, it wouldn't be such a bad thing to only have a few companies rather than have a bunch of mom and pops making it out of their kitchen. So they probably wouldn't survive, I think, in that world with their business. Like, the guy who's running it, I forget his name, but yeah, he's selfish and he wants to be rich. And, Aleida, I would say, she's very self-involved. She's not a good mother. But also, the culture could change, it would change. It would just take time under socialism. Like, the materialism that's so rampant in our society, it would over time fade. It's not going to go away overnight, even after you implement a government. That stuff takes time. But the culture and the political system feed off of each other, like Hollywood is funded by the people who run the economic system, and you're going to get culture produced that represents their interests and their values. So over time, if the wealth gets redistributed, the culture is going to represent more voices and a more socially equal perspective. The other thing I had on this is that how exploitative, whatever the word is, the relationship is between Aleida, her family, and the guy who's running the drug manufacturer out of their kitchen. She gets a bunch of material goods like handbags, maybe to drive around in a nice fancy car or whatever. And this guy gets to make a shitload of money, and he's at the top of the pyramid there, or, pretty high. I'm sure he answers to other people, but he's getting way more out of it than she is. She's taking all the risk, and as you can see, she ended up in prison, and so did her daughter, because they were running the thing out of their kitchen, even though this other guy was the guy responsible for it. So she's being completely exploited, but she's either too dumb or too blind to realize it. And, I hate to be so critical like that and be negative about a person, but I don't like Aleida. I really don't. I like most of the characters on the show, and I'm not saying I don't like the actress or the acting. I think the character, for what it is, she does a great job. Like, that's just not a likable person that she's playing as far as I'm concerned.